My name is Nuraddeen Aisar. Today our subject is mathematics, and we are going to treat the topics graphs. Graphs. In mathematics, we have different types of graphs, ranging from quadratic, linear, exponential, and trigonometric graphs. Some people call it curves. But normally, when we call a graph curve, it means there is some arc in it. Either this way, or even an exponential type of graph. So today, by the grace of God, we will look at this type of graphs, solve them one by each, and then look at the difference between each of the graphs and how to approach the question if given amicably. Now, in quadratic graphs, we always have a parabolic graph, a parabolic shape, and this is parabolic shape. However, we have an exponential graph which has the function f of x equals to 2 to the power of x, where x is a variable. That is, this type of graph simply denotes an exponential graph. That is, it increases exponentially from 0 to some certain predetermined values. Again, we have a linear graph. Linear graph, some people call it straight line graph. Straight line graph. Normally, this is called a simultaneous graph, where we always have a straight line graph either this way, or this way, or this way, or this way. All these types of graphs are called linear graph. Why linear? Because they have the characteristic of being in a straight line. Next, we have trigonometric graph. As mentioned earlier, trigonometric graphs, normally known as trigonometric curves. Why is it curves? Because we have mainly we have sine curve and cosine curve. These two types of graph must either be sinusoidal or simple curve, but they will never be linear graphs. Example, they look somehow like this or like this. This is cosine curve and this is a sine curve. So, as mention was made, we have different types of graphs, but we will be taking these types of graphs one by each in each class. So first of all, let us look at quadratic graph. Our today's topic will be quadratic graph. So the student has to bear in mind that parabolic shape has to be treated today by God's grace. So now let's look at the topic of the day, which is quadratic graph. Generally, we know that anything quadratic means an equation or a parametric equation with a power of 2. That is why we have the general equation as y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, or ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. These terms, the square terms, entails the quadratic equation. Now, if you have an example, let's look at an example. Since we are not dealing with quadratic equation, we are now going to deal with quadratic graphs. The graphs that deal with the behavior of quadratic function. Let's look at an example to see how we will solve a simple example using quadratic graphs. The question reads thus. Let's see, we are asked to use a graph to find the value of the equation or the root of the equation 2x squared minus 4x. Let's say you can form your equation yourself. Mass is mass. Minus 2. Let's say minus 2 equals to 0. Use this equation to find the roots of the equation. What are the roots? The roots means the solution. Solutions to the question. Since it has a degree of 2, we must have two possible answers. Either negative and positive, or positive and positive, or negative and negative respectively. Now let's have the value of x. For the value of x from minus 3 to plus 3. Let's assume this is the question. Just find the value of this equation or solve the equation by taking the value of x from minus 3 to plus 3. Now, follow me shortly and see how we will deal with this question. First of all, take the value of x from minus 3 to plus 3. So here we go. We have x, and the values of x are minus 3, it keeps increasing, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So make a table. This is the easiest way. Next step is to take the equation. Here we have 2x squared, which is the square term. Write it down here. Minus 4x, write it down here. Minus 2, which is the constant term. And then the last value will be the value of y. Since y will identically be the value of this equation, or 2x squared minus 4x minus 2 equals to 0. Now, when x is minus 3, this means substitute the value of x from the ordinary terms to minus 3. When x is minus 3, minus 3 squared is the same as minus 3 times minus 3. Minus times minus, of course, is plus. 3 times 3 gives 9. So minus 3 squared is 9, plus 9. Plus 9 times 2 will be what? Plus 18. Next, we have minus 2 squared, which is the same as minus 2 times minus 2. The same as this. Minus, cancel minus, we have 2 times 2, which is 4. So here we have 4. No, I mean here we have 4, which is x squared, give 4. 4 times 2, this will give you plus 8. Minus 1 square will give you 1. 1 times 2 gives 2. 0 square will give you 0. That is, you are substituting the value of x in each value of x given here. So 0 times 2 will give you 0, of course. When x is 1, 1 square is 1. 1 times 2 will still give you 2. When x is 2, 2 square is 4. 4 times 2, of course, 8. And when x is 3, 3 square is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Some may ask, why is it so? Here we have negative sign and we have positive value. Here we have positive sign and we also have positive value. Thank you. We will go for break shortly. If we come back from break, we will continue. Welcome back from the short break. Now when x is minus 3, here we substitute x with minus 3. Minus times minus gives plus. 3 times 4 gives 12. When x is minus 2, we substitute x with minus 2 here. Minus times minus, we have plus. 2 times 4, 8. When x is minus 1, here we have minus 1 times minus 4. Of course, here we have plus 4. And when x is 0, here we have minus 4 times 0. Of course, this is 0. And when x is 1, we substitute x with 1. Minus 4 times 1 is minus 4. When x is 2, here we have minus 8. When x is 3, here we have minus 12. As mention was made earlier, the values of x ranging from minus 3 to plus 3. Whether the value of x is minus or positive, either positive or negative, provided that the value or the terms above x is more than 1, which is square. When you square negative number, it will eventually turn to positive, because we have minus times minus. If it is minus 2 times minus 2 will be plus 4. However, if it is plus 2, it will still be 2 times 2, which is 4. So regardless with the sign, provided that we have a quadratic function, which is a square term, no matter what, the value will be positive. Now, in this case, we have a constant term. This part, we have x squared, and this is x term, while this is constant term. Simply transfer all this value to the subsequent rows. Here we have minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. Now the table is completed. What next? We find the value of y. Plus 18 plus 12 will be plus 30. Plus 30 minus 2, this will be what? 28. Plus 8 is plus 16. Plus 16 minus 2 will be what? Plus 16 minus 2, which is 14. Plus 2 plus 4, if you like, write it down. Plus, plus, plus. Plus 2 plus 4 is plus 6. Plus 6 minus 2 will be plus 4. 0 plus 0 is 0, minus 2 is minus 2. 2 minus 2 is minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. So here we have minus 2 and minus 2 again. You have minus 2 already, and you again minus 2 again. After minusing 2, you minus 2 again. Therefore, you must minus 4 in totality. So minus 2 will be minus 4. Not minus 2 times minus 2. Minus 2 plus minus 2 is minus 4. But minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4. So get the difference, please. So here we have 2 minus 4, which is minus 2. Minus 2 minus 2 is minus 4. Here we have 8 minus 8, which is 0. 0 minus 2 is minus 2. Here we have 18 minus 12, which is 6. 6 minus 2 will, of course, gives 4. So the table is now completed with the values of x given, and then the values of y are found. Now, let us summarize the table and then plot the graph using the values. We can use the graph to plot the, we can use the table to plot the graph, and at the same time to find the roots as mentioned earlier, to find the root of the equation, and the root means the solution. Now let us summarize the table. Now from the graph, we have x and y. The values of x are minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. From the table, when x is minus 3, y is 28. When x is minus 2, y is 14. When x is minus 1, y is 4. When x is 0, y is minus 2. When x is 1, y is minus 4. When x is 2, y is minus 2. And when x is 3, y is 4. So we will now use this table to plot the graph of the solution of the question y equals to 2x squared minus 4x minus 2. Now, since this is a whiteboard, not a graph board, let us assume the values here. Let's draw the Cartesian planes using ruler and pencil to draw the Cartesian planes with this positive y and this negative y values. This is positive x and this negative x values. Now, look at the table. And the y-axis, what is the highest value? The highest value here is 28. So assume the value from 0 to maximum. Now let's assume that 2 centimeter to represent 10 units, for example. So that here we have 10, 20. Let's increase this a little bit. And this is 30. So here we have 10, 20, 30. So that this value, 28, will be accommodated within this range. And what is the least value in y? The least value is not 2. Some may say 2 is less than 4. But in this case, minus 4 is less than minus 2. So minus 4 is the least value. The same unit here, minus 10, minus 20. Only this value will accommodate minus 4. Now look at the x values. We have minus 3 as the least and 3 as the highest. So let's make it 1 centimeter to 1 unit. Here is 1, 2, 3. Here is minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3. Now let's take the values. When x is minus 3, x is minus 3 here, y is 28, we assume here. When x is minus 2, y is 14. Let's assume 14 here. When x is minus 1, y is 4. Assume 4 here. When x is 0, y is minus 2. When x is 1, y is minus 4. When x is 2, y is minus 2. And when x is 3, y is 4. So the graph is completed. Now join the points and obtain the correct solution. So this is the graph of y equals to 2x squared minus 4x minus 2. Now, looking at this, you can easily conclude that the graph is parabolic in nature, parabolic shape. That is why, as mentioned earlier, that the shape of quadratic graph is always parabolic. I do hope with this simple example, the student can be able to identify quadratic graph. Now, this is the graph, as mentioned earlier, the graph of quadratic equation of this very equation y equals to 2x squared minus 4x minus 2. Since the question says find the roots, so the roots are the points where the curve cut the x-axis. where it cut the x-axis, and it cut the x-axis at this point and this point. But since this is not a graph book, we will only assume the values. However, if you can plot this on a graph paper, you will obtain the exact results. So these are the roots of the equation. Of course, this is somehow 2.1, and this is minus 0.6. So the values of x are 2.1 and minus 0.6 approximately. So we use approximation because it is not a graph book. Thank you for watching.